The Charleston air felt deceptively peaceful that Thursday morning, but Marcus Thorne carried a storm inside him. Grief still clung to him like a second skin since Eleanor's passing. Seeking space, he left Chloe's house for a quiet walk in Riverside Park. Wearing khakis and a faded navy polo, Marcus looked every bit the retired grandfather. But for Officer Kevin Miller, patrolling with a chip on his shoulder, Marcus was something else. A problem waiting to happen. Miller's morning had already gone sour. An argument with his wife, a warning from his sergeant about his excessive use of force reports. Now, walking the park, he scanned for anything or anyone out of place. His gaze landed on Marcus, an older black man, alone, standing near the Navy memorial. That Miller's first thought wasn't curiosity. It was suspicion. Marcus stood reading names on the bronze plaque, lost in memories of fallen friends, when he felt a sharp shove on his shoulder. "Watch it," Miller barked. Marcus turned, startled but calm. "I'm sorry, officer. I didn't see you there." Miller's eyes narrowed. The man's polite tone grated on him. Too confident, too self-assured. Miller's blood boiled. "Sorry? That all you got? Let me see some ID." Marcus blinked. "Excuse me? I said show me your ID. Now. I don't understand. I've done nothing wrong." Miller's voice lowered, oozing with venom. "You're loitering near a war memorial. Acting suspicious. Don't make me repeat myself." Marcus's heart sank. He'd spent his life in service to a country that still saw his skin color before anything else. "Officer, I'm simply walking in the park. There's no law against that." "Oh, so now you're a lawyer?" Miller sneered, stepping closer, invading Marcus's space. "Give me your ID, or I'll have you detained for obstruction." Marcus steadied his breathing. Years in the Navy taught him composure. "On what grounds?" "You have no reasonable suspicion of a crime." Miller's lip curled. "I don't need a reason to check someone acting shady." "Shady?" Marcus echoed, biting back anger. "Because I'm standing near a plaque? Or because I'm black in a public park?" The word hung in the air like a slap. Miller's jaw twitched. "Don't play the race card with me." "I don't have to play it," Marcus said quietly. "You've already dealt it." Miller's hands trembled with fury. "Put your hands where I can see them," he shouted, reaching for his belt. "Turn around. Now." Several bystanders froze. A woman with a stroller pulled out her phone. Two teenagers stopped their jog, whispering nervously. A man walking his dog turned and left, unwilling to get involved. Marcus remained still. "I won't resist, but I also won't let you violate my rights. You people always think you're above the law." Miller spat. That Marcus's heart pounded, not from fear, but from sorrow. Even at this age, even with all his medals and decades of service, this was how easily he could be reduced to a threat to you people. Miller's hand dropped to his gun. "Final warning," he roared. "Get on the ground." Before Marcus could reply, a new voice rang out, loud and full of authority. "Officer, holster your weapon." All eyes turned. A motorcade had just arrived along the park's edge. Emerging from the black SUV was Governor Robert Hayes, flanked by aides and security detail. Hayes's eyes widened at the scene. "What's going on here?" he demanded, striding forward. Miller didn't lower his weapon. His voice cracked, but stayed defensive. "Governor, this individual is non-compliant and suspicious. I'm following procedure." Hayes didn't answer. His eyes locked on Marcus. Recognition flooded him like ice water. The bearing, the posture, the quiet authority radiating from this older man's stance. Hayes's memory clicked. Pentagon. Medal ceremony. Admiral Marcus Thorne. "Wait." Hayes stepped closer, disbelief twisting his face. "Admiral Thorne? Is that you?" Miller's face drained of color. "Admiral?" His voice faltered. Spectators gasped. Phones recorded. The tension shifted, but not completely. Miller's gun still shook in his grasp, inches from tragedy. Marcus didn't move. His voice, when it finally came, was quiet but devastating. "Yes, Governor Hayes. It's me. Though apparently, that means very little today." Hayes turned, fury burning in his eyes. "Officer Miller, lower that weapon. Now." But Miller hesitated, eyes flicking between his trembling hands and the man he nearly destroyed. And just as Hayes reached for his radio to call for backup, Miller's finger twitched on the trigger. Everything froze. Governor Hayes turned slowly toward Officer Miller, his face carved in cold fury. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" His voice was low, tight, dangerous. "You just aimed a loaded gun at Admiral Marcus Thorne, a decorated war hero, a man who spent 40 years defending this country, defending both your freedom and mine." Miller's stomach twisted. His ears rang. The weight of the gun on his hip felt crushing now. His heart pounded, but not from righteousness. This was fear, raw and suffocating. Sweat poured down his face as he fumbled to shove the gun back into its holster, nearly dropping it. His hands trembled as he turned toward Marcus, panic growing. "Sir, Admiral, I am sorry. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't mean any of it. I was just doing my job. Please, it was a misunderstanding, a terrible misunderstanding." But even as the words spilled out, he knew this wasn't about regret. It was about self-preservation. If Marcus had been any other black man, Miller wouldn't have cared. That truth, now undeniable, tasted like acid in his mouth. Admiral Thorne raised a single hand, a small, controlled gesture, but it froze Miller mid-sentence. The air around them turned to stone. When Marcus spoke, his voice was steel, sharpened over decades of command. Every word cut clean, cold, and final. "Your job, officer," he said, "is to protect and serve. Not threaten and humiliate. Not act on bias. Not create crises out of peaceful moments. You didn't enforce the law today. You enforced your prejudice." Miller's throat closed. Around them, park visitors watched in stunned silence, phones recording, faces tense. Marcus turned to Governor Hayes, their eyes locking in quiet agreement. "Governor, this officer is a danger to every citizen he encounters. Today it was me. Tomorrow it'll be someone without witnesses, without a title, without a second chance." Hayes nodded grimly. Without hesitation, he pulled out his secure, state-issued phone. "I completely agree, Admiral." He dialed quickly, voice clipped and direct. "Frank, this is Hayes. I'm at Riverside Park by the Navy Memorial. Get your watch commander and internal affairs down here." Officer Kevin Miller, badge number 701, just pointed a firearm at Admiral Marcus Thorne. "Effective immediately. I want him suspended, badge and weapon surrendered on site. And notify the district attorney. This incident starts an official state investigation." Miller stood frozen, pale and shaking. The words hit like hammer strikes. Suspension. Internal affairs. DA involvement. Minutes later, sirens wailed. Two cruisers screeched to a stop. Police Chief Frank Peterson stepped out, face red with stress. His expression darkened as he recognized Marcus standing beside the governor. "Governor, Admiral, I am deeply sorry," Peterson said, nearly choking on the words. Without pause, he turned to Miller. "Officer Miller, step forward." Now, Miller stumbled, his legs refusing to cooperate. In front of cameras, citizens, and the state's top official, Peterson personally removed Miller's badge, yanking it from his chest. The sergeant beside him took Miller's gun. The metallic clank of badge and firearm hitting the evidence bag sounded like a final verdict. "You're done," Peterson said simply. As of this moment, the fallout was swift and unstoppable. News outlets picked up the story within hours. The grainy but clear cell phone footage circulated online. A white officer threatening an unarmed black veteran at gunpoint in broad daylight. With the governor as an eyewitness and a national hero as the victim, no PR team could spin this. By the end of the week, Miller was formally fired from the Charleston Police Department. But the consequences didn't end with his job, a hastily called press conference. Governor Hayes stood before reporters and stated, "This was not an unfortunate misunderstanding. This was a violation of civil rights, an abuse of power, and there will be consequences." Under growing public pressure, the district attorney charged Miller with felony assault with a deadly weapon and abuse of authority. Facing overwhelming evidence, witnesses, video, the governor's sworn statement, Miller's lawyer urged him to accept a plea deal. 2 months later, Miller stood in court in an ill-fitting suit, thinner, pale, hands shaking as he read a scripted apology. In the front row sat Chloe Thorne, holding her father's hand tightly. Marcus remained composed, but the disappointment in his eyes was unmistakable. The presiding judge, an elderly black woman with decades on the bench, showed no sympathy. "Mr. Miller," she said, her voice low but fierce, "your actions betrayed your oath, endangered an innocent man, and further eroded public trust in law enforcement. Your remorse appears tied to your punishment, not your crime." With that, Miller was sentenced to 3 years in state prison. The incident sent shockwaves across South Carolina and beyond. National conversations reignited around police bias and systemic abuse. Charleston's police department rolled out immediate reforms: mandatory de-escalation training, implicit bias education, and new body camera regulations. As for Marcus, he declined most interview requests, but gave one quiet statement from Chloe's living room. "I was lucky. Lucky because of who I am and who is watching. But justice shouldn't depend on rank, cameras, or who happens to walk by. It should belong to everyone." With that, Marcus left Charleston for good, returning to Virginia, but knowing deep inside that retirement didn't mean disengagement. The fight for dignity, his and everyone else's, was far from over.